they said that black men weren't capable of handling fighter planes, mechanics nor pilots. And the word got around. When they took a count on how many black men had passed the test, it was over 10,000 of us. They set up a quota system. Then that quota system narrowed us down to wherever they wanted us. And it was all set up for us to be a failure.
The officers predominantly, even at West Point, came from Southern backgrounds. Like VMI is a Southern military school. Many times when they graduated, they became officers in the U.S. armies. So they brought with them their racial attitudes towards African Americans. A sergeant in the military in World War II was considered incompetent and would not be capable of leading the men in a very strategical manner. They needed somebody with more brains, et cetera, to lead them. They weren't good for anything, shore duty, stevedore duty, but not as a combat person.
The problem is, in promotions, it's like a pyramid. It goes up like this, and the higher you go, the least amount of promotions that's available out there. And the blockage that I see in the military for minorities is when you get to a certain level, there's a cutoff, and they won't send you to the specific schools. They won't have you trained properly to get that next position.
I can't remember some of the names that was against us. Air Force men, white men. I can remember one particular man, his name was General Twining. Another one was, his name was General Ecker. They was generals in the Air Force. And they didn't want to adhere to the possibility of black men being in the Air Force in the first place.
One of the best military officers during World War II was a subsequent President of the United States, and that was Jimmy Carter, because he believed and he understood black soldiers.
The reason Tuskegee Airmen came to being is because of the black politicians and powerful men in the black race. When we got to Selfish Field, it was in the summertime. I can't remember which general this was that was against us. He called for a dress parade. They marched us out on the ramp in the hot summer and called us to attention. We thought maybe we was going to have an inspection. We stood at attention for 3 hours. Men was fainting. Stand at attention, the blood drained from your, from your head, and you lose control. And the medics had to go to the general and tell him what was going on. Don't treat these boys like that.
The Tuskegee Airmen went on to prove themselves capable. They were not allowed to do certain tasks, and finally, B.O. Davis came home and he said, you putting us down, but you don't give us the assignments to prove ourselves.
And there was one incident where my particular unit, where they didn't have somebody in a slot for over a year. I had to sit in the slot for a year, not get promoted, but I had to prove myself that I can do the job. And it took a whole year for me to prove to them that I can do the job before they even give it to me.
The next incident of racism that I ran into was when I was assigned to Muskegon, Michigan. I was the executive officer, and by the way, my being over in Muskegon was because of a name request from a guy named Jim Comerford. He was the commanding officer, and he wanted me to be his number 2. And one day he said, take the people and go to lunch. I don't feel like going. I said, okay. So they wanted to go to this particular restaurant. I said, okay, let's go. Well, needless to say, I didn't get waited on. Then finally they woke up that I was not being waited on. And they said, sir, they haven't waited on it. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. As they were checking out, I said, are you the manager? The guy said, yes. I said, I want to inform you something. I'm the senior officer with these gentlemen, and I was excluded from being waited on by your staff. I can't tell them what to do when they're not on duty, but I'm telling them in your presence, when they're on duty, ever on duty, and they come back to this facility, I guarantee them they will be court-martialed in violation of my direct order. But they can do anything they want on their civilian time, I don't care. But they'll never come back here wearing this blue uniform. And I find out about it, they will be court-martialed. Well, I say, sir, I don't need, you need to talk to your staff. Don't come making apologies to me. Talk to your staff. Let's go, gentlemen. And the most recent issue, as a retiree, after our president, first time he was elected, a friend of mine who was a colonel out at Selfridge, he and I were talking, and he said that out there, Obama's picture was not being put up in the chain of command. And I thought about that, and I said, I bet you that's true down at the foot of Mount Elliott. And sure enough, when I went down there, Obama's picture wasn't up on the wall. And I said, is there anybody around? So finally this white lieutenant came out. He said, can I help you? I said, yes, we got a problem. A problem? He said, yeah. I said, the president's picture's not up there. This stupid man had the audacity to insult me by saying, we're waiting for a picture of the vice president to go up there. And I said to him, sir, you have just insulted me. To assume that I'm so ignorant that I don't know the chain of command. If there was a change in the chain of command, how much you want to bet I would have had a memo to that effect? I got nothing. The chain of command is the president, Secretary of Defense, and right on down the line. And that's the way it has been for hundreds of years. I'm going to tell you, you got 72 hours to get the president's picture up there or else. And I said, by the way, my name is Commander Ross L. Fowler. I wasn't home 30 minutes before I got a phone call from down there. The president's picture is up on the wall. I said, thank you.
The Tuskegee Airmen only lasted for 10 years, from 39 to 49. When the war was over, they showed a disdain for us, and they were shipping us from air base to air base. Because I had got out the Air Force, but I was staying in contact with the men that I knew in my outfit, and they was keeping me informed of what was going on. They was disrupting their operation. They made what you call a compositive group, the fighters and the bombers, which was all black. And at this time, it was all black officers.
But as time went on, it became relevant that the black man too, like in the Civil War, was a good soldier and followed this, was very disciplined and followed orders.